How's it going, YouTube? Yeah, Pat Mack here, coach of the Sacramento Saints, bringing you a draft analysis for the Pokemon Draft Premier League. This is a VGC or doubles league. I guess it's not technically VGC, but we'll talk about that more in a minute. This is season 2 for this league, and this is a league that you get recruited to. Basically, everybody who's here is a very good player. They've done really well in all sorts of different draft leagues around, either making playoffs or winning leagues or things like that. So a lot of really good coaches that are playing in this league are from amongst the draft community, and I'm pretty excited to join them. I think it's going to be a lot of fun to play in their league. So actually, let's get straight into looking at the draft. So this was a league that you could draft 10 to 12 Pokemon, and it wasn't technically a tier-based draft, but it really felt like it the more that I got into drafting. It was points-based. We had 460 points. However, the tier system was a little weird. It was kind of like there were 7 tiers. Well, there were 7 tiers. There were 7 different point values, but they weren't incremental. So first one was 120, then 90, then 60, then it dropped to 40, then 25, 15, and 5. So not an even distribution of points throughout, which made drafting very interesting because at some points you kind of locked yourself into different options if you wanted to use all of your points, of course. So we were pick 11 out of 16 coaches, I believe. That sounds right. I'm going to go with that. Let's just say it was 16. That sounds right to me. So we'll roll with that. And let me just go and show the whole team on here. I'm not going to do pick by pick, but you can kind of see what the whole game plan was, or what we ended up with, I guess, throughout the draft. And you can see the order that I picked them in as well. The top left was my first pick, and then across the top are my first 4. So Brambleghast was my 5th pick, and then Palossand was my last pick. And I'm pretty happy with what I got for the team. So I'm going to talk a little bit about the draft strategy that I had for the whole thing, and then just a couple of Pokemon that I'm excited to use, and we'll finish up there. So obviously you can see I grabbed Talonflame first. And before I even started the draft, I knew I wanted to grab Talonflame because I thought that it was fairly underpriced. Someone had mentioned moving it up in the tiers, and then we never ended up doing that, and I thought that it should have, so I was like, why not? I'll just grab it first round. And then Kingambit was a Pokemon that I wanted to try using. I just love the design for this Pokemon. I think it's really cool. The Bisharp typing I think is really good, and this Pokemon just seems really awesome, so I decided to grab that, and then Gardevoir as well afterwards. And I think the 3 of those Pokemon, well, they don't technically fall into any specific core combination. Like, it's not a Fairy Dragon Steel core, it's not a it's not a Fire Water Grass core, it's not a Dark Psychic Fighting core. Like, it's none of those things, but I thought that those 3 picks gave me a lot of options. I got Tailwind off the bat, which was pretty nice. I got a really strong physical attacker in Kingambit, a really strong special attacker in Gardevoir, plus a Trick Room setter. So like, I got both of the main forms of speed control out of my first 3 picks. Plus I got a lot of pretty solid offense from those picks as well. Plus, like, Talonflame can do quite a bit of damage and is a good utility option too. So just overall, I really liked having those as the first 3. And then after that, I just kind of grabbed some stuff that I wanted to try using. Quackaball, it was the starter that I used in the game. I just think it's the coolest one out of the 3 of them. But Moxie seems like a pretty cool ability. I have Defiant from Kingambit, so like, if people are trying to drop stats, then to like stop Quackaball from kind of going crazy, then like Kingambit kind of stops that by having Defiant. And then I got Brambleghast as well. I used it in another league, and I thought it was a lot of fun to use, but Wind Rider along with Talonflame, Tailwind is a really nice combination to get an immediate like choice band boost, which is pretty sweet. And then after that, I kind of like looked for what I wanted to finish off my plan with, but it was really tough because people were drafting in really weird ways because of the point system and how it worked. So like, even though like, so you can see my team, right? I don't have any like Chi-Yu or Chien-Pao or Dragonite, or I don't know what else is like one of the super crazy threats that are here. Iron Hands or Iron Valiant. There's no Mousehold on my team. Like Fluttermane. Like, I don't have any of those mons, but they were allowed in this draft. So there were some really, really crazy Pokemon out there. But because of the point system that we had, they were like, I don't know, like a 1/4 of your points or something like that. Like, it was pretty insane. And so like, I didn't end up going for anything that was that high tiered, but all of those things are out there. So anyway, what I mean to say is that because of how the point system worked, a lot of people were going for like low tier value picks very, very early on. And so it was very interesting to try to figure out how I wanted to use my points to fit in there. So like Guja's a pretty high tiered pick, and I waited for a while to grab that. And actually I ended up trading to grab it at the end because I had Rotom Watch there instead, thinking I was going to go with a different route, and then other people picked what I wanted and whatever. You know, snipes happen when you're drafting. That's just part of it, and you got to make sure that what you have can kind of fill in with different roles that you can do and whatever. So I'm overall pretty happy with the team. I think it has a lot of bulk. It's got a lot of offense. Like it's got a good it has a good mix of physical and special. So I think that it's going to be fairly difficult to prep for, and just in terms of like, you can't just bring all physical defense. You can't just bring all special defense. Like you really got to bring a mix in order to check all the different threats that are here and the different speeds that are here too. Like going with Trick Room or Tailwind are definitely an option. I have like 3 Tailwind setters, so a lot of options there. So like Talonflame doesn't have to be the only one setting it. It can be the Dunsparce, it can be Frostmoth, which brings some other options into the team. And then having Trick Room is nice. We have a couple slower threats that can do really well in Trick Room. So yeah, pretty happy with the team overall. I think it's going to be a lot of fun to use this season. Let me know in the comments which Pokemon you're most excited to see me use. If there's any sets or strategies that you really like from seeing this team that you want me to try out this season, definitely drop them in the chat. Like, who knows? Just because of how draft works, it's pretty much a counter team format that like no promises on if I'll be able to use it or not. But ideas are always really nice to see, because there's a couple of strategies with this team that I think are going to be really cool. But I'm just glad that it has a lot of options. I have options for Tailwind, I have options for Trick Room, I have physical and special attackers. Like that's how I tend to draft my teams anyway, is that I like to have a lot of versatility and a lot of mixture of options available to the team. And I think having that means that I get to use like my creativity and skill in battling and building to win games. So anyway, if you'd like to see some more of this particular team, I think I mentioned earlier that it's a doubles or a VGC league. So definitely stick around, like, subscribe, and all that stuff. And I'll catch you for week 1.